Does the commission also go to the upline? I think I've already answered that. Okay. What is the minimum amount of homes on residential property investors to utilize this program? So I'm going to pass that over to you, Tony. I think they're referring to whenever a corporation or an LLC owns a handful of houses as a real estate investment. What is the minimum amount of homes owned by a corporation?
I mean, if you're talking about the minimum is the minimum, $300,000, it's worth doing the evaluation. So, I mean, there are homes out there for $2 million, $5 million, whatever. The homes that probably are being rented, they're probably ranging $300,000 to $500,000, I would think. If they're little shack rent homes, that's a different story. But no, I would say the 300,000 number is a good number. If you've got multiples, you might bring it down to 250,000, but probably not beneath that. But if you got a situation, talk to us.
Okay.
If a guy's got 200 of these babies, it might be worth doing it.
Right. And and that's the thing that I just want to point out. Don't talk yourself out of a sale. Okay. It's going to be impossible for Tony to put together a scenario for every possible scenario out there. So as you're out there and you're talking to people, just gather the information, submit it on in, and let the company and Tony finally determine whether or not it's a deal or not, because I'd hate to see you walk away from a potential sale. So, all right, next question. If the business has been sold in the last 2 years, is there any recourse to go back and take additional depreciation, Tony?
No. As a matter of fact, if it's sold within 2 years of doing a cost segregation, there's a potential for recapture. That's about marginal at 2 years. But again, it depends, because what you do is you reduce your personal property taxes by depreciating faster also. You might have less capital gains, but you're talking about a little more intricate situation. But no, you can't go back after you've gotten rid of it. Now, I will tell you, we did a car dealership up in the Northeast where they actually demolished a building, and they built where that building was. They got to include the demolition costs and the depreciation. They rolled it in the exchange with the cost segregation.
Awesome.
So, again, that's why we have CPAs and tax consultants. I'm not going to try to be a CPA for you either. I know a lot of the ins and outs, but when you get strange situations, we call the experts.
Great. And that's the good news, and that was one of the major deciding factors in partnering up with CSSI is that, obviously with having 5,000 of these underneath their belt, they're not, OJT-ing anymore. And that, along with, having a strong track record with the IRS, you can feel comfortable in bringing your clients into working with CSSI. What about property management companies, Tony? Are those a good source of leads?
Oh, yeah, of course. As a matter of fact, there's a deal that was up in Vegas. They had people flying in from all over the country, property management firms, to try to get the business of a very large property in the Vegas area. And they all put their bids and everything, and only one came in with us, cost segregation. Saved them millions of dollars, and they got the deal.
Wow. Here's the next question. I think you already touched on it, but I just want to make sure that we answered this specific question. It says, if a property owner sells his business in, say, 4 or 5 years, won't all of his tax benefit be recaptured or essentially lost?
No. And again, this is more of a tax case. If you depreciate, in 5 years, all your personal property, your basis is now down to zero. So your personal property is depreciated. But again, that's more a question for the CPA, and again, I don't think I want to get into that on this call, because you're not going to run into these situations very often, and when you do, that's when we want you to talk to the experts. But there is a recapture provision, and there are actually like 3 different tax rates you have to go through, and it's not worth discussing at this point in time. And if you do run into that situation, I promise you we'll hook you up with the CPAs to go through every detail to make sure we get the proper answer for that particular prospect.
Right. That's awesome. And once again, to be able to tap into the resources to get the answers. I mean, it's obvious as you go out there, you're going to run into scenarios where you're going to be competing with a CPA, because you're going to bring something to that property owner's attention that the CPA overlooked. And the good news is that, we do have the resources available to us in, top-notch CPAs to kind of, break things down and talk that CPA lingo to where we can close the deal. Here's the next question here, Tony. Is there any local offices in LA, California?
Well, basically, they're not really offices. Most of our guys are independent contractors. Most of them work from their homes, make their calls, have a small office. They're independent, but it's not a corporate type office, no.
Okay. All right. If we submit a client, are we protected for other properties the client has?
Well, I would think you'd be protected by your client. If you're working with a client, they're going to submit everything through you. Once you've got that client, it's your client. If it's a different division or something we can't know about, but no, we always try to protect the rep. If you do a deal, you got that deal all the way through, unless something, if we can't know about it, then we can't do anything about it. But I've never seen a situation yet where we've had any kind of discrepancy.
And let me just build on that. I've had an opportunity to be working with Tony and Robert for the last couple of weeks, and I got to tell you that I don't think that indiscretion or any of that's going to become an issue. But I got to tell you, if you're already working with a client and they've already submitted one deal, they're going to be submitting those deals through you, provided that you're doing your job. So I think the key is that you need to focus on good customer service and maintaining that account. I don't really think that that's even a valid question, to be real honest, if you're doing your job.
You guys are all over the United States. The chance happening of you bumping into somebody is pretty remote as it is.
Especially after you have an established relationship and they've already submitted a deal through you. I just don't think that that's even a valid question, provided that you're doing your job.
I'll tell you what, that La Quinta hotel I told you about, I talked to the doctor who was billing that, so we had to wait till it was done and we finished the study. When I initially signed the contract with him, I went to his doctor's office. I sat down in this conference room, we signed the deal, and I said, "Doctor," I said, "did you ever do this building?" He said, "I could do this building?" I said, "Sure." I said, "What'd you pay for this?" He said, "About $480,000. I said, "Well, you can probably save, probably around $35,000, $40,000. I said, "You want me to do a feasibility?" So he said, "Sure." So he signed that deal. We actually did that study before we even got the hotel done. When I came back with that, he said, "Listen, I got a partner in another hotel on the North Shore, and he owns another hotel. I got 3 other deals out of this." So once you make a guy happy, not only is he going to give you all his business, he's going to wind up referring people to you because, number one, he wants to help his friends out and make himself he'll ingratiate, himself with his own friends. And why would he go anywhere else? You'll see when you make these guys happy. I've never seen a business like this in my life where the referrals flow so freely.
And that's basically, basically the same way we do with our credit repair business. We stay on top of them, we earn their trust, and that's how our business explodes, is through the referrals. Okay, here's the next question. Building cost, is that the purchase price?
Yep.
Okay.
See, understand, when you buy a building, you book the asset. So even if the value, and this is a very good question, even if you're in LA 10 years ago and you bought a $1 million building and it went up to $3 million, your book value is still $1 million. That's the depreciable amount. Now, when it sells for $3 million, that next person can cost segregate, and they'd have the $3 million valuation. Or if somebody dies and it changes hands, they set a new basis for that building based on that time period. But no, whatever's on the books is what's depreciated. And to take that a step further, a lot of times you'll have retail establishments, like a restaurant will move in. Well, they may not own the building, but they'll come in and totally gut and renovate. Now, whoever renovates, whether it's the restaurateur or the owner of the building, whoever puts it on the books for depreciation is the one who can cost seg it.
Awesome.